Caroline, how are
Oh
you
my
doing?
gosh, it's Jeb.
Hey, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. It's so great to meet you. It's an honor.
Caroline from Dayton,
Mhm.
Ohio. So tell me what's your question?
Yeah, so I was curious to know, it's coming out of like the holiday season and everything like this. It's really tough to get back into that mode of selling for sellers, and then we face objections as well. We're looking at new technology and everything. So, what would be, I guess, your tips on how to get more involved or back into the selling motion? Um, After just a long break, because also we're looking at prospects who are just coming out of their vacations with family and things like that too.
Yeah,
So,
it's funny because we're about 6 weeks away now when the holidays are over, and my brain it flips back into the work mode like on January the 5th. Like now I'm in, but you don't really think about how long it takes people to get back into the mood to buy. And January for a lot of salespeople is a big dip in their pipeline because of that. You've also, I think, got the especially in your world where it's dark and it's gloomy. The sun
right.
goes down at 5 o'clock and it's snowing outside. How do you keep yourself focused and motivated and back in that
Yeah.
groove as well? And by the way, Carolyn, I think this could be true for really any time. You think about us as salespeople, we have these ebbs and flows in our year where we get in these cycles of down and cycles of up, and how do you pull yourself out of that? Couple of things that I would recommend. Number one, and this is a little bit gratuitous, but I absolutely recommend listen to the Sales Gravy podcast. I mean, we're coming to you
Mhm.
3 times a week. We got Money Mondays, which I think are really good lessons, and there's a playlist on Spotify for Money Monday, so you can just put it on play and it'll run all the way through. We've got the Ask Jebs on Wednesdays, and we've got interviews on Fridays, and then there's other ones out there as well. Whenever I'm listening to on my commute, on my workout, in my car, I would keep that focused on something that's entertaining me. The one thing I would
Mhm.
stay away from, especially if you're feeling like, how do I get back in the groove, is stay away from the news. It's just toxic right now. St-
Oh,
I,
it is?
yeah, I'd stay away from X, which formerly Twitter. I was on X this morning posting a video from this week's Wisdom Wednesday or Ask Jeb, and I was like, I would just hit the front page of it, and I was like, oh my god, this is horrible. So I quickly just
Mhm.
moved on to something else. So I would stay away from things that are negative, and along with staying away from people who are negative. Things are down, a lot of people around you are feeling that way. The people that you surround yourself with are going to drive a lot of your attitude. So I would gravitate to people who are lifting you up versus people who are either tearing themselves down or tearing you down along the way. And for me, I always, like when I was a field sales rep, when I'm in my car, I'm listening to something good for me. So I'm either listening to an audiobook, I'm listening to some program out there. In the old days, it was, we'd throw cassette tapes and CDs in, and we listen to Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and Jim Rohn. Today you've got
Mhm.
podcasts that are, by the way, free, FREE, free. Listen to the good ones. And we call that Automobile University, but you're constantly putting something good into your ears. Because what comes into your ears, if it's a good thing, it tends to come out of your mouth. It becomes the thing that you start to believe and feel. Make sure you're surrounding yourself with people who are lifting you up. And then I would add reading to that. Every morning, think about what are you doing each day in your routine to build yourself up. I'll give you a quick example of this. And this is from a time when I was asking the same question that you were. So I was in Spartanburg, South Carolina. I'm a field sales rep. I've got a territory. I just hit a down patch. I just didn't feel it. And I wasn't motivated. I was coming in the morning. I had to make some prospecting calls to set up some appointments, and I'd find any excuse. I'd be hanging out at the water cooler, literally a water cooler, talking to people about how the economy was bad and everything else was bad. And I got to a point where if I didn't start prospecting, I was going to sink myself. So I had to do something. So I picked up a book. It was called No Bull Selling. It was by Hank Trisler. It's an old book. There are millions of books like this out there. And what I did was I would prospect for 10 minutes because I didn't feel it. I'm talking about I didn't feel it. I didn't even want to be there. And then I would read 10 minutes of Hank's book. And then I would prospect for 10 minutes and I would read 10 minutes of Hank's book. I got to meet Hank years later and thank him because he pulled me out of that abyss just because his words were positive. It was a motivational book about selling. It was good stuff. I just finished listening to James Clear's Atomic Habits for I don't know the fifth time, but I needed that because I was getting into that. I started off January really strong, and then I started kind of dipping in my habits, and so I put it back on play. So when I was walking, I was listening to that book, And I've used walks as a way of like getting myself pumped back up again. That really worked. Another thing that you can do, Caroline, I don't know if you do this, but I keep a file of all the nice things that people say about me and on my email.
Mm,
So if I have a customer write a really nice thing, or if I've got a win, or your boss, like you close the deal and your boss says something nice, I've kept it for years and years and years and years. And sometimes when
mm.
I just need to remind myself that, I'm not a total loser and, things will be okay, I'll just go back in and like read the things that people have written me about myself. So, go back and think about all of the victories and all of the successes that you had before this lull and use that as like a way to shape your vision for what the future is going to look like. So I would do that as well, just to start reminding yourself that you're awesome and you rock and like you've got this and you're going to be able to pull out of this situation and you're going to be great. The final thing I would say is if you haven't already done this, go look at your goals. So coming out of last year, so I typically do over the Christmas holidays is I'm working on a business plan and goals. What are your goals? Have you gone through that? Have you set those? And I'm talking about like your sales plans, your personal business plan. Is all of that put together in a way that you can look at it and say, this is what I need to do in order to make this year successful? Because if we just look at, we came out of this vacation lull, we came out of the holidays, you're dealing with wintertime, which is tough. I get it, and your
Mhm,
customers are dealing with the same thing. If you focus on where you are right now, really hard, if you say, these are the actions and the activities that I have to do as a sales professional in order to make my goal by the end of the year, I still got 11 months to go in this year. These are the things I have to do. If you get focused on that, then you can start getting myopic, right? And start focusing on what do I have to do every single day in order to accomplish those goals rather than looking at the year in its entirety. You focus on one thing at a time, one action at a time, one day at a time, based on goals and a personal business plan. And for the folks that are listening, if you go back on Monday, right before the Christmas holiday, I did a podcast on personal business planning and on setting goals. So go back and listen to that. There's a free coupon to get into one of our goal planning courses in that particular Monday. So you can pull that out of there and go listen to it. And if you haven't set goals, then right now what I would do, Caroline, is I would sit down and I would build those goals and I would lay it out, all of the little steps you have to take, everything you have to do in order to accomplish your goal for the end of the year. If you have set goals, this is a really good time to pull them out of the drawer and look at them and ask yourself, am I doing the things every single day that I need to do to get me to these goals? And even by the way, if you don't feel it, like I go back to that story where I'm reading Hank Trisler every 10 minutes because I don't feel it. I remember it. I can remember it in my heart. Like I just didn't want to be at work. But I did like having a job and I did like money. So I showed up, but I didn't want to be there.
right.
Well,
Yeah.
I
Mm,
did that over time, and at the end of that quarter, when I first started that process, I was the number one salesperson in our entire region, and it was the little bit every day focusing on that. It was pumping myself up, but there's something amazing about how momentum drives momentum. There's something amazing about when you're taking action, how it makes you feel. It makes you feel more confident. It makes you feel more accomplished. Keith Lubner, who is one of our senior master trainers, he calls it cells endorphins. The more you're taking action, the more that builds. And that's exactly what happened to me. I just used the book, the Hank Trisler book, as a way to get myself pumped up in between doing something that I didn't want to do. But then suddenly it actually got easier and easier and easier and easier to do those things. Does that make sense? Or did I answer your
it does
question?
make sense. Yeah, it does. I'm more of a motivated, like self-motivated and driven person. So I know that I have to do everything. It's up to me to be able to get anything done. So like you, I listen to audiobooks. I just started the AI Edge book too, by
Oh,
the
good.
way. I got it on Audible and it just came out yesterday. So
It sure.
perfect.
Thank you for that book plug, Carolyn. I appreciate that.
You're welcome for sure. I know. Well, it's a really good book, and we are in that world of AI too. So there's a lot of new things coming around the corner for everybody, and AI is pretty much the future, and it's kind of scary,
Yeah.
but it's also I want to learn more about that. So, yeah, it's just keeping myself motivated. Working out every day,
Yep.
keeping the mind very, you know, kind of just focused on what I need to do.
Exactly.
And you can get off course sometimes
You can.
with life.
On Monday, I released a Money Money podcast called the BTN Prospecting Method. And BTN stands for Better Than Nothing. and you think,
Love the acronym. Love
yeah,
that
like
acronym.
something's better than nothing. You got to
Yeah.
think at the end of the day, did I do something? Did I accomplish, part of my goal? Because the cumulative impact of a little bit every day is massive, and that's the law of cumulative impact says that little actions every day lead up to massive results. You just want to be thinking about every day, what am I accomplishing? Celebrate the small wins, even if it doesn't feel like a small win. And it sounds like you're one of those people that like they're super successful. When you're making big impact, you feel great. When you're doing big things, you feel great. And then when you
Oh
look at
yeah.
something and go, I only did a little bit, like you don't feel like you can celebrate that. But that's important that, hey, I didn't roll a zero today. I did more than something. I mean, I did more
Hmm.
than nothing, excuse me. So that's what I would look at.
That sounds great. And then I also look at that one thing that you said in fanatical prospecting, and it's what is it? Swallow the frog.
Eat the frog.
Eat the frog.
Here's a
Sorry, eat
sign
the
right over
frog.
here on the wall. Eat the frog.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the truth. It's like you're not really in the mood to do what you need to do, or call people in the morning. Get your morning going that way, but you just have to do it.
Yep. That's it. You just have to do it. Well,
Yeah.
Carolyn, I wish you the best of luck in your year. Thank you so much for joining us. That was
Thank
fantastic.
you.
And it was so nice to meet you. Thank you so much for reading my books and the awesome book plug. The AI Edge audiobook is out right now. It just came out yesterday. So thanks
Yeah.
for
Perfect
grabbing that and
timing, I
listening to
guess.
it. Yeah. And shoot me a note on LinkedIn or just connect with me and let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please make sure to click like and subscribe so you never miss a single video. And if you want more sales training content, go to learn.salesgravy.com.